Alright guys, welcome back to Vincent Kane's non-review review. Today we are plunging headfirst into the absolutely bonkers situation surrounding the Sentry, because Marvel just dropped a Thunderbolts trailer and holy smokes, Sentry's alter ego? Pure nightmare fuel. Okay, so for those of you who are just tuning in, the Sentry is one of the most ridiculously powerful, and let's be honest, seriously messed up characters that Marvel has ever cooked up. This dude first burst onto the scene back in 2000 in his own self-titled miniseries, and the whole thing was steeped in mystery. The initial story? He was this Superman-esque hero from way back when, a total powerhouse, but everyone's memories of him, including his own, had been wiped clean from the world's collective consciousness. Seriously cool concept, right? A hero so off the charts strong that reality itself kind of just forgot about him. But here's where things get properly twisted. See, Sentry's got a dark passenger, a seriously nasty alter ego known as the Void. And what we glimpsed in that trailer, that ain't your run-of-the-mill villain, folks. We're talking cosmic entity levels of terrifying. What you saw in the trailer wasn't just Sentry lurking in the shadows, no way. As the Void, he is the Shadow. That pitch-black being we saw, that's him. Pitch black, reality warping and turning people into inky splats, yeah, that's the Void in a nutshell. Alright, so what kind of crazy abilities does the Sentry bring to the table? Well, pretty much everything you can imagine. We're talking super strength that makes the Hulk look like a toddler, speed that would make Quicksilver eat his dust, flight, energy projection that could vaporize mountains, and a whole laundry list of other god-tier powers. The guy is essentially a walking, talking cheat code, but then you've got the Void, the absolute opposite, the yin to Sentry's yang. Where Sentry brings the light, the Void is pure, unadulterated darkness. He can manipulate shadows like they're putty, corrupt your mind with just a glance, and as we chillingly saw in the trailer, turn people into what can only be described as inky black stains on the freaking floor. That matter corruption we saw, turning people into shadows, spot-on comic accuracy. Now, is what we saw in the trailer actually ripped from the comic pages? Mostly, yeah. The Void is frequently depicted as this shadowy, shapeless being packing an absolutely ridiculous amount of power. The ability to just point and poof someone out of existence, that's totally in line with his comic book portrayal. Make no mistake, the Void is a cosmic-level threat, through and through. Think arcs like Siege, where he straight-up leveled Asgard, and it took Thor throwing him directly into the sun just to temporarily take him out. So, the million-dollar question, do the Thunderbolts, this ragtag bunch of anti-heroes and misfits, have even the slightest snowball's chance in hell against this guy? Let's keep it real, probably not. This isn't exactly the Avengers we're talking about here. Maybe Ghost's phasing abilities could buy them a millisecond or two, but overall, they are massively, catastrophically outgunned. Bucky's fancy arm? Cute. Red Guardian? Toast. So, how in the world could they possibly pull off a win against a being like the Void? Well, maybe they'll pull some kind of completely bonkers, out-of-left-field victory like they seemingly did with Xavier's ridiculously overpowered twin sister, Cassandra Nova in Deadpool and Wolverine. She was practically invincible, yet they'll probably find some contrived, convenient way to off her. Or maybe, just maybe, they'll go full Squirrel Girl on him. Speaking of Squirrel Girl, for those unfamiliar, this is Doreen Green, and don't let the name fool you. Armed with enhanced agility, strength, and the incredible ability to communicate with squirrels, she's one of Marvel's most surprisingly effective heroes. We're talking about a character who has, against all odds, defeated some truly heavy hitters that the Avengers themselves have struggled with. Think Dr. Doom, Galactus, and even Thanos. We'll be diving much deeper into Squirrel Girl's unbelievable victories, and just how she manages to pull them off in some upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. Or, hear me out, maybe they'll try some talk no jutsu shenanigans. For those not in the know, this is a trope super common in anime, especially in one of the big three, Naruto, where the main character often talks his enemies down, gets all up in their feelings, and somehow convinces them to switch sides. Funnily enough, Spider-Man might have actually pulled this off way back in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 when he was going toe-to-toe with Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock was absolutely handing Spidey his lunch until Spidey managed to get through to him, causing him to ultimately sacrifice himself. So, maybe in Thunderbolts we'll see some surprisingly effective heart-to-heart. Maybe Yelena Belova can tap into Bob's guilt, kind of like how Emma Frost's telepathy worked in New Avengers and get him to fight the Void from the inside. But here's where the comics actually give us a much more solid clue. The Sentry is, to put it mildly, incredibly unstable. The Void isn't just some random evil dude. He's essentially a physical manifestation of Bob Reynolds' own self-doubt, his fears, and his mental illness. In the comics, more often than not, Sentry ends up being his own worst enemy, defeating himself due to his internal struggles. Remember the Siege storyline? He literally begged Thor to kill him mid-rampage. So, maybe the Thunderbolt's best shot isn't trying to overpower a being that can rewrite reality, but rather to exploit that deep-seated instability, to somehow trigger a complete mental breakdown by exposing Bob to something like the truth about his wife's fate, or confronting him with his past addiction. Ultimately, your guess is as good as mine. We won't truly know how this whole Sentry Void situation plays out until we're all sitting in the theater come May. But you can bet your bottom dollar I'm hyped to see how they tackle this insane power dynamic. Will Marvel pull a Deus Ex Machina out of thin air to nerf the Void? Maybe. The comics have certainly laid the groundwork for some pretty wild solutions. Remember when Reed Richards and Doctor Strange straight up erased Sentry from reality to stop the Void? Or that confluctor device from the 2018 comics that could trap the Void in a pocket dimension? Or could the MCU go full-on Sam Raimi levels of cheesy? Picture this. Bucky Barnes, the stoic Winter Soldier, delivering a speech so unbelievably corny, so saccharine sweet, that it makes Bob Reynolds burst into tears and the Void just poofs into a cloud of glitter. Stranger things have definitely happened in the Marvel Universe. So, will the Thunderbolts somehow pull off a miracle against a being that can warp reality? Or is the Void about to plunge the MCU into an era of cosmic darkness? We'll find out on May 2nd. In the meantime, if you're itching for more superhero chaos to tide you over, don't forget to check out my book, Race of the Anandalin, written by Vincent Cain, available now on Amazon. And hey, if you dug this deep dive, smash that like button, hit subscribe for more comic book breakdowns and theories, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Let me know down in the comments. Is the Void shaping up to be Marvel's scariest villain yet? Or just a slightly edgier shadow puppet? Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.